Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Maury
and Pat from the Erie Better Beer Bureau. We got Beer on the Bay coming up here. It's on July 27th. Weyerbacher was at Beer on the Bay last year. Thought we'd review one of their beers now. If you're heading to Beer on the Bay, be sure to check us out. We'll have a booth there. We'll be selling t-shirts, giving away stickers, various craft beer information. So if you're there, swing by and say hi. What can you tell us about this one, Jay?
This is the latest release from Weyerbacher. This is their Viridis Lupulus, which either means green wolf or spring hop beer.
Little play on words there.
Yeah, or both. But it's basically, they're going to rotate the hops in this beer and release it as a summer seasonal each year. I don't know if they're going to stick to this name or a different one, but it's Apollo, Centennial, Calypso, and Galaxy hops this year. So 7.5%, 95 IBUs. Definitely has a pretty citrusy nose mixed with a little bit of grapefruit and pine as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a kind of mild on the nose.
It's a little, it's a little mild.
But it's, a very pleasant, sweet, hoppy flavor or aroma coming off of this one.
Yep.
Mostly citrus, a little bit of pine.
A little bit of like a fresh, like dank green, like leafy grass or lawn too.
Yeah, there is a grassy component to
Yeah.
it. A little bit of bread to it too.
Yeah, and there's definitely, you can smell a hint of like a malt backbone in there.
Like a sweet bread.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Cheers.
Oh. Judging by the aroma, I was not expecting the bitterness of this beer.
Hello!
Yeah.
That's basically what the hops say to you upon first sip. This is definitely not short on hop flavor or bitterness. It has both.
I was kind of expecting a little more of a sweet hop flavor whenever off the nose of this, but it is definitely very bitter. It's also citrusy, a little bit tropical, but way bitter.
It's nice and bitter. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's pretty bitter. There is it's kind of bitter and citrusy right up front, and then it fades into a little sweetness, but then the sweetness is kind of short-lived because the bitterness comes back in a big way on the finish.
Yeah, and it does, that bitterness lingers way into the aftertaste.
Yeah. You might even want to say the bitterness sucker punches you up front and maybe finishes you off on the back end. It says hello, Andrew. I almost feel like it's a really green, like wet hop flavor on the palate. I'm not saying they use wet hops. I'm sure that they don't. But that's the type of flavor. Like the flavor of this beer sticks around on your palate after you drink it.
It does kind of have a resiny character to it, which is a little odd because I usually associate it with those piney hops.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of pine in this beer. It's mostly citrus, grassy.
I think there's some though.
A little,
but not like as much as you would think for the way it's kind of lingering around on the palate.
All right, for a score for Weyerbacher's Viridis Lupulus, I would give this one a 4 out of 5. It's a pretty solid bitter beer. I mean, if you're a fan of bitter beers or some very bitter hoppy beers, citrus or floral, you should do yourself a favor and check this one out if you have it available to you. Like I said, I do wish there was a little more balance in the beer. That little hint of malt sweetness in the middle of the beer is really, really necessary. I mean, otherwise you're going to lose yourself in the bitterness in this beer. I'd like that, a little more of that, but other than this, if you like a nice bitter beer, you should check this one out. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm going to take it up one notch and I'm going to go to 4.25. I love bitter beers, and I think there's actual hop flavor there though too, like in the taste. I don't think it's just bitterness you're left with, although there is a good amount of it on the back end. But this beer right now is tasting really good. The more this one ages, I can see this one getting malty and kind of being a little bit more similar to Double Simcoe. This is kind of like a lighter, less syruppier version of Double Simcoe. And honestly, having it this fresh, at least at this point, I like it a little better. This is a really good beer, and I'm interested to see the combination of hops next year, but this one works pretty well for me. I like these bitter IPAs. Yeah, 4.25. Till next time.
Cheers.
I will say, and I want to point out that we live in Pennsylvania, where Weyerbacher is from, and this beer has yet to come here. I don't know that it's even going to, unless we kind of ask for it and poke and prod until we get it. This beer has been in Ohio basically since right after it got released, and it's only $8.99 a bottle, which that's why I buy a lot of my beer in Ohio. I'm sorry, it's just that's a great deal, and the fact that they get it before we do, I think, is a shame because this is our state.
Well, it's the joys of living at the end of the state distribution chain.
Yeah. Yep. So Weyerbacher, if you're watching, if there is some way that we can get your beer to come directly here rather than having to stop in Pittsburgh and then work its way up to Erie, we're all for it.